I used to think sci-fi wasn't for me. Every time I tried to read it, there was too much science stuff, the worlds were too close to home, and it all just overwhelmed me and left me feeling kind of stupid. That's until I realized I had been reading the wrong book, that there's an exact path that you can take to help you bridge the gap, and before you know it, everything feels accessible. And without it, you're missing out on stories that are just as fantastic, just as wondrous, just as emotionally impactful as anything that fantasy has to offer, which is why today I'm going to give you the exact books to read in order to help you start reading science fiction. The biggest mistake I used to make was trying to dive into books that were way too complex for me to understand, which is why this first book that I'm going to recommend to you is designed to allow you to dip your toe into the pool without getting burnt. It comes from an author who started out writing fantasy and has only just tried their hand at science fiction. If you're looking for deep themes, characters with intriguing flaws, and a dystopian-style world, then this book ticks all the boxes. Or maybe you just like the sound of samurais in space. Either way, the first book I'm going to recommend to you is The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda Lee. The science is quite easy to understand. It plays with concepts that we've all heard of before, but mashes them together in a unique and exciting way. It also contains some real emotional moments and left my mouth gaping with some of the dark waters that it plunges into. There's a fantastic mystery at the heart of it that provides some very intriguing twists and turns. The pacing is a little bit different, but it all pays off at the end. But the real reason why I would suggest this one is that it feels kind of familiar to any fantasy fans. While it's obvious that this is more sci-fi than fantasy, it's also abundantly clear that Fonda Lee started out as a fantasy author, and as such gives you a nice, soft entrance to the genre before preparing your brain for something a little bit more futuristic. That's why the next choice opens your mind up to bigger sci-fi worlds. The important truth here is that while this one is expansive, the science isn't too fluffy, meaning that anyone can enjoy it without feeling overwhelmed. The story comes from the drama experience between the characters, and it explores the political ways that their choices affect the world. It's the first book in a series, and just like Isako, there isn't much to do with aliens involved. In fact, any alien life forms you do see are barely ever focused on. Their presence is felt, but they're a little bit like the White Walkers in A Song of Ice and Fire. If you haven't already guessed it by the accidental pun at the beginning of this section, the book that I'm talking about is Leviathan Wakes, the first book in the Expanse series by James S. A. Corey. This one caught me by surprise. I'd seen the trailers for the Amazon Prime TV show and didn't think it would be for me, but the way that the authors have approached it allows you to easily access the world through the minds of two main characters. We have Jim Holden, a captain who's just trying to do the right thing but makes some pretty awful decisions, and Josephus Miller, a noir-style detective who isn't the nicest guy in the world, and his head is kind of messed up right about now. Something is going off in space, and it all links to the mysterious disappearance of a lady called Juliet Mao. The reason why this is the next one on your path is that the world gets slightly bigger. There's some excellent found family vibes, but if this one doesn't do it for you, I found that the second one steps up its game by offering a very relatable fear in the prologue. Once you're finished with Leviathan Wakes, I think you're ready to try something a little different. A story that I reckon just about anyone can enjoy. I left this one till last because it's definitely got the most intricate science involved. But the greatest thing is the author manages to deliver information in a way that is super easy to grasp. It follows the story of a super smart scientist, but it doesn't overwhelm you because it's all grounded in emotional truth. The craziest thing about this book is that when you go in blind, it makes for the most magical experience. You've probably heard this one knocking around the zeitgeist recently. It's called Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and if I were you, I would try and avoid watching any of the trailers to the recent film adaptation. The less you know, the more fun you're going to have with this one. All I'm going to say is it starts off with a man in space who has no idea why or how he's there. Then his memories start to hit and the real story unfolds. It's all going well until around page 160, and that's where everything really kicks off. The reason why this is the last on the list is because I've been getting you used to the trappings of the genre, and Project Hail Mary proves that you can enjoy stories with the science involved. The truth is, you don't need to know every single detail in order to enjoy these novels. You see, there's a secret behind enjoying just about any story, and I reveal what it is in this video right here, so I would suggest checking that one out next. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.